Hello, welcome to Talking Games match preview against Wolves against West Ham United. We're back. The Premier League is back. Gonzo, can I get your thoughts on our opponents as always, please?
Yeah, they're okay. They're an average team. The It's quite funny actually because you look at the last three games, which is win, loss, and a draw. I think that's Wolves' season. Really, because you do that, then you're getting, 3 games. You got 4 points. You stay above more. So you stay above that ratio, you're going to be absolutely fine all season. They will be fine. And I looked at their points. I was a little bit surprised to see where they were, which was 8th and 16 points after 11 games. But you look at some of the games that they've got the points in, and some of the games they've got coming up. Not the next couple after us are easy. Then they've got a nasty, nasty December. They really do. Worse than ours, actually. I think they're an average team, Geo, and I don't mean that to sound sort of derogatory at all. I think they sort of, they got rid of the manager. I don't feel that works out for anyone. I don't feel it works out for Wolves. Didn't work out for Nuno. And didn't work out for Tottenham, really. But they've still got this. I guess they've still got this Portuguese model. I believe the guy's name is George Mendes, where he has access to a load of his clients. I thought they were really exciting the first season they came up. They qualified for Europe. I feel the project maybe has stalled or stuttered, but they have stability, and that stability will comfortably keep them up in the Premier League. And if they can stay top 10, it'll be a miracle, really.
I sort of half agree with you. I think they are an average Premier League club. There's nothing wrong with that. That means sort of mid-table security between 9th and 13th, and I think a lot of clubs will take that. And when you have a new manager coming in and changing things, like Crystal Palace are doing, I think you've got to accept to take that in the first season anyway. You've got to say that's fine. If we can be safe for a year and the new manager is able to get his fingerprints over the club, that is good. That's a good season. Yeah. I always say to you, success can be measured in many ways. It's not just the Premier League table. Crystal Palace is so far having a successful season. It's not necessarily elite table. You're just looking at the way that Vieira's implementing his ideas. He's getting young players in. I think Wolves are sort of going through a similar transition now. I felt Nuno leaving in the summer was the right thing for Wolves. I felt like it got a little bit stale under him. The first year they came up, I thought their football was exciting, qualified for European football. And you looked at it, and we looked at it with envious eyes. We thought, I wouldn't mind a bit of that at West Ham. We've got a bit of that at West Ham, or even more so. But since we said that, I feel like in the roller coaster of Wolves, they've had their ups. I think they were going down with Nuno, not into the Championship, but it was all downhill. The football was bland, and it was okay. Even in the first season, it was still a bit boring. They used to get to 0-0 almost every game at halftime. They get to 0-0, and Adama would come off the bench and go on and win it. And that was almost like Nuno's game plan. And it felt like people had sussed him out a little bit. They worked out how to play against Wolves, and it's like he didn't have a plan B, really. New managers come in, it's different. The football's a bit different now, and I think it's probably the right thing for Wolves fans. Nuno did fantastic, but I do think it was the right time for him to move on and Wolves to move on, more importantly, as well, and hopefully play a bit more exciting football for the fan base and stuff, because they do have exciting players, which we'll get into in just a minute, Gonzo. Bruno Lage, now manager there. Have you seen much of him at Wolves? Do you have an opinion on Bruno, or?
I don't, mate. No, sorry, you're going to have to lead the way.
Sorry, I had a backup question for you anyway. I had a feeling you'd say that.
Yeah.
Does it help Wolves to some extent? Not, them and Nuno parted ways mutually, if you like. It was sort of his decision as well as Wolves' decision. But does it help Wolves sort of justify the fact that Nuno's gone to Spurs and essentially failed after 10 games in? Can Wolves almost say, see, we were right to get rid of Nuno? Look.
I don't know. I don't know about it. Did they? Did he walk, or did they get rid of him? Because I know what you're saying. Mutual, yeah,
I believe it was very mutual as it comes. Yeah, I believe it was just a case of Nuno was a bit like, I've come to the end of Wolves, and Wolves was like, no worries, we've come to the end of you. Ta-da.
Yeah, because my mate and his girlfriend had just split up, and that's what they said, but it weren't. I'll tell you that now. It weren't by mutual consent. Anyway, aside, back on track. I don't know. I think they can only validate what they've done by how well they performed. And as I say, it's to have 16 points after 11 games is really, really good. I mean, really good. If they could get 50 points this season, I think it'd be amazing. I really do. I really do. Particularly when you look at some of the other clubs, because Wolves are a sizable club. When you look at some of the other clubs like Leeds, who you would think have got a more established manager, you'd think of perhaps got a more thrilling team. Yet there they are down, lower, and are they going to struggle? I don't know. I think Leeds will be all right. But and even a club like Newcastle, a massive club, and there's Wolves just ticking along, doing their stuff. I think, I know it ain't the most thrilling journey this season, maybe for Wolves, but it is very steady Eddie. And when you look at some of the other clubs below, Aston Villa as well, they've got to take that. That's not bad at all. Does it validate the decision with the manager? I don't know, mate.
While I thought it was right for Wolves and Nuno to part ways, Nuno left big shoes to fill, essentially. He left with the goodwill of the fans. He's probably held in high regard by Wolves fans. I don't know. Wolves fans will tell us in the comments, but I would assume he has. And it becomes a difficult position to fill. It's not like a poison shower. You look at Norwich, the next manager in at Norwich, you can't lose, really. Either get relegated and it's Farke's fault, or you stay up and you've done superb. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's not your fault, kind of thing. But I think with Wolves, I think the job was a little bit different there, which was like, actually, Nuno's done quite well. So what are you going to do? He took us out the Championship and into Europa League and got us into the knockout stages of Europa League. So what are you going to do next guy along? And I think Lage has done all right so far. I think I've watched Wolves quite a bit this season, and sometimes I've watched them. Their football's been fantastic. It was Everton they beat a few weeks ago. Yeah. Honestly, for the first half, Wolves were just battered them. They were just everywhere. The football was fantastic. They were pinging the ball about. Their attacking players looked up for it and on form. They were linking up really well. I thought, oh, here we go. They've got partnerships back. And I think that's probably the key thing for them. I think, obviously, with Jimenez out for a large period of time through a horrific injury, it sort of removes quite a lot of the good things that Wolves had going for them, makes it a little bit difficult. But now they seem to have these partnerships coming back into the team with some of the new players as well. But then I watched them against Villa. I think it was Villa.
They beat Villa. Palace. Yeah, lost badly to Palace. Barely created a chance.
Palace smashed them. They just wiped the floor with them. I thought, how have I watched Wolves literally a week apart, and it's two different sides of Wolves? And I think Lage has got a bit of an issue with the Adama Traore that needs sorted ASAP, whether that's sell him, he gets a new deal, whatever it is, that needs fixed. And it just feels like he's almost skating on thin ice already. And I feel a bit sorry for him. I don't know why that is. I just get the impression some managers you look at, you think, I'm not sure he's going to last. And I look at Bruno Lage and I just think, I'm not sure you're going to last. Because while some games you are playing well, some games are a bit rubbish. The most exciting player, to some extent, you're struggling to get into the team. He isn't in the team. And I don't know. It's a difficult one. And it's early on. Like I said, it's only 11 games into his Premier League managerial career with his new club. He needs time. He needs plenty of time. But ups and downs already in that 11 games. Persian Mayer?
I would go in more historically than what they're doing at the moment on this. Let's just say that. Cody is a good player. He has nightmares about Antonio, so I don't want to judge him just on how he plays against Antonio. I think aside from that, he's a good player. I believe he's got really good leadership qualities as well, which is really important in any team. Certainly, Jimenez coming back is massive for them because he is a top standard striker. You get the impression that if he hadn't have got the really nasty injury, and it is great that players come back from that, not only come back and perform well, but have the confidence, particularly with that type of injury, to give 100%. You could totally understand somebody playing within themselves. After I remember Petr Cech. So I think it might have been the guy whose name was Hunt, possibly at Reading, who basically kneed him in the head. That's why he wore a helmet. I mean, crushed his skull and stuff like that. Never the same. And I don't believe it was ability. I just feel it was never the same goalkeeper. He really wasn't. I just felt he didn't quite dive as quick. It was a little, it might have only been 5%, but it was enough. So fair play, because he's to come back from that. If he hadn't got injured, I feel that he may well be playing for somebody else now. And I mean, a very top club. I think he's that good. I like Podence. I know he sort of comes off the bench a little bit. They've got the access in midfield at the moment, haven't they, with Neves and Moutinho. I liked Semedo, but I think I liked Semedo before he went to Wolves. I'm not sure I like the Wolves version of Semedo. I like the memory of him, if you like. So, yeah, there you go. There's a few.
Anyway, talking about players, Mayor Gonzo, what about football apps, you and Mayor?
I I know one. Well, there's plenty of outside Maya, but if we're talking purely football, then it has to be the one football at Geo. And I'll tell you what, if you're in any doubt ahead of this game about who's going to play well, what their form is, and if you are unsure of whether they beat Everton, whether they beat Crystal Palace, or whether they beat Aston Villa, the One Football app will clear it up. Not only that, they'll have a punt. Yes, a punt at who's going to be featuring in this game for both teams. As well as that, it will aggregate all of your West Ham news for you. If you're a Wolves fan, when you sign up, click the support Wolves. It'll put all the Wolves news into one place.
And it's completely free. Link in description and pinned comments of this video. Get downloaded to your phone. Keep up to date with all the latest news from your club and get your lineups as a notification at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Bad news for you to some extent, Gonzo. Semedo's done really well this season. I think he's been their best player. I think the one thing Bruno has done really well there, he's almost molded him as a really, really good wing back, actually. He gets forward really well, defensively really solid, and you're starting to see the Semedo that Wolves thought they were purchasing.
Sure.
I think he's been fantastic. I think Ruben Neves has looked really good under him as well. I was a bit critical of Neves last season and beyond. I thought Coutinho was a better centre midfielder, and Neves got all the plaudits because he could smack it from 30 yards. And boy, you can smack it from 30 yards. But he's what I would used to call a match of the day player. Looks good at match of the day, but you watch him for 9 minutes and you think, well, where's the rest of him? Yeah, that 3 minutes on match of the day is fantastic. Where's the other 87 minutes? And the first season we saw, I felt he went a little bit off the boil. This season, I think he's been back to his best, if you like. He's controlling the games, he's running around, and so he should, because Coutinho's about 2 birthdays away from getting his pension out. But I think Neves has been really good too. And every time I watch Hwang, I just wish we signed him. Every time I see Hwang play for Wolves, I just think I could see him fitting how West Ham play as well. That's the most frustrating thing. His link up with Jimenez is really good. He's quite aggressive. He presses, and he can finish. He's got good technique as well. Gone off the boil in the last couple of games, and I can't make my mind up about Trincao. Some games he looks really fancy. You can see why he's a Barcelona player. Looks taking players on and stuff. There's other games he just looks like a Wolves version of, I don't know, Nathan Redmond or something. What's this guy all about? There's not much there. He's still an Adama Traore fanboy.
I like him. I think he's a great player. I've seen him play twice this season, and he did this run, Gio. I mean, he went past everyone, and then he missed, right? And I know that's the problem. He's you get a tune out of him. He is unplayable, almost unmarkable. He's stronger, he's faster, and a lot of the times more skillful than anyone else he's up against. It's a shame no one's tapped into him. I do, because I actually do think maybe Moyes doesn't want to go near him because maybe he's something wrong with his attitude. I don't know. Couldn't possibly say. But actually, I look at Moyes, and Moyes does improve players. He does. Everyone. You struggle. I can name you more players he's improved at West Ham than you can name me players he hasn't. Put it that way, right? And I think, if he got Adama Traore, I think we'd have a hell of a player. So it's that thing. And whenever we've looked at sort of Antonio, can you convert someone to do that? I've always thought, I like this. I like this guy. Look, it doesn't matter. He's not going to feature. Something's happened, and he's not the same. Is it? Okay, fair enough. Well, that would show attitude then, Gio. Maybe it is that natural talent. He's Adama Traore in a game that doesn't matter if it's not professional football. In a game of 5-a-side with his mates or whatever on FIFA. What do they call it when they do all the skills and that? The flicky
Volta,
something like that. He's street football. He will always be the best street footballer. He really will. There's this guy called Kimbo Slice, and who's an MMA fighter. He's actually crap in the octagon, but as someone always says, he'll always be the toughest guy at a barbecue. Actually, put him in where there's rules and you actually have to do it, he's going to struggle. And I feel that with Adama Traore. Actually, an 11-a-side football pitch where he's got to finish and score some goals. He's just missing, but he's got all the skills to do it.
For context, in the seasons gone by, Gonzo's always picked up Adama Traore, and I've always played him down and said he's one of the most overrated players in the Premier League. Full pace and power, yes. Apart from that, I'm not too sure. I'm not convinced. And maybe someone can get a tune out of him, but the problem is you're more likely to get a tune out of Jedward than you are of Adama Traore.
They got similar hair. Very similar hair.
They do have similar hair. Anyway, that's enough talk about Wolves. Time to talk about West Ham. Gonzo! Mikel Antonio got a private jet home. Scored 2 goals. Scored 2 goals for Jamaica on international duty. A nice little finish and an absolute belter from 30 yards. The first time he scored outside the box in 7 years. He's never scored outside the box for West Ham, in case you're wondering. We've seen him take plenty of shots from outside the box for West Ham. Never gone in.
But one of them that he hit went past the private jet the other way and is probably on its way to Jamaica. That left footer he hit at London Stadium the other day.
But West Ham provided a private jet for him, so he returned early yesterday, Wednesday morning. Good news for West Ham, for Gonzo. We were sort of hesitant as to how it's going to work, and it looks like the club are sort of willing to do whatever it takes to get Antonio back ASAP.
Yeah, you know what? Fair play, and it appears that we have everybody back from international duty unscathed. So the fitness is good. Slight worry about the jet lag, because something I always have suffered with, but hopefully he'll be okay. Rice obviously didn't feature, and Souček, that's the only one for me. How tired will Souček be? We will never quite know. But
he did play in the last game.
He didn't?
No.
Brilliant. Oh, I mean,
he was on the bench. He may have come off the bench. I'm not 100% sure. He certainly didn't start in the last fixture.
Well, it couldn't work out any better as an international break for West Ham, could it? Really?
And Fornals had a rest as well because of his.
He had a baby, yeah, absolutely, yeah, fantastic, brilliant. Mind you, he might have had a sleepless night or two, so hopefully he's sleeping in the spare room, which is strangely ironic for the fornicator to be sleeping in the spare room. But anyway, happy days, I think, for an international from West Ham, yeah.
Obviously, Angelo Ogbonna suffered an injury, which we got told about at the start of the international debate that he's out for the foreseeable future. Still yet to find out news as to how long he's going to be out for, but he's certainly not going to be available on Saturday, Gonzo, which means Dawson or Diop. Who would you like to see come in for Ogbonna?
Dawson has earned that from the way he performed against Liverpool. He's earned that.
See, I would go for Diop, but there's not anything wrong with Dawson's performance against Liverpool. I thought he played well. Wolves' front three have got pace about them. They do. They are quick. Jimenez is not slow. Chao, if he starts, Podence is really fast. Huang's got a bit of pace about him. Trincão's got a bit of pace about him. And I just think that front three of Wolves, I look at it, I think they're quick. They are quick. And if they can counter-attack us, they will. And they can be good at it as well. So I'd put Diop in just for the pace factor. If we were playing Burnley this Saturday, I'd want to see Dawson, but we're not. We're playing Wolves. So for that reason, I'd like to see Diop in there. But I think you can let Moyes off regardless of what he does, really. When I say 50-50, I think it is a 50-50, really.
I mean, obviously Liverpool got some players with pace in there, and he did all right against them. Dawson. I don't watch enough of Wolves to say, but certainly the previous incarnation of Jimenez was very much a number 9 striker, and I don't know if he's still heading the ball in the way and attacking the ball in the way that he did. But I look at that and I think if he's still playing in that way, and if Wolves do play in that way, then Dawson, I think Dawson can do a good job there. But I've got to be honest with you, I've looked at their recent games as well, and they're not creating many opportunities, this team, at the moment.
Right back, Ben Johnson's been in good form heading up to the international breaks, and Fowles played for Czech Republic during the international period as well. Ben Johnson continue keeping his spot there?
You have to. You just have to. And you know what? It's the good thing is for Soufal to get that game for the Czech Republic. That keeps him fit ahead of the, and he can come back in for the European game. Johnson's had a really good run of games. But obviously, he's not been selected for international football, which is good. Hopefully, one day he will, just for himself. But he's had a nice rest. I think he'll come back ready and raring to go. And also had a little reset in his mind where he can possibly go back and look back at some of his performances, Geo. And I'm sure he'll be really chomping at the bit to start again.
The rest of the team pick itself, really. Fabianski in goal, Creswell, Zuma, Johnson, along with Dawson or Diop. So. Then you've got Rice and Souček in midfield with Ben Rama, Fornals and Bowen playing behind Mikel Antonio. Yeah,
I mean, it's such an established first team. And so if we've come out of international break without any injuries, and obviously Rice, it appears, is not has not got the lurgy anymore. So you've got to play that team, and it's a hell of a team, Joe. It's a hell of a team. It's guaranteed starters. Not many players that get into that team.
Yes, Saeed Ben Rama got a goal and assist for Algeria as well during the international. Speaking of how players got on for their countries, he done well with Algeria, so he was away, played before Antonio, so he's had that extra day's rest anyway, prior to Antonio playing for Jamaica against USA. But yeah, a goal and assist for Saeed Ben Rama, so it's win-win-win for West Ham on the international break as well. You feeling good for this game? You confident?
Oh yeah. Massively confident for this one. And not an arrogant confidence, but you've got to assess your recent form when you look at this. And Wolves are no bad team, as I say. I mean, if Wolves got 40, I looked at it. Well, Wolves are sort of scheduled to get. I think it was between 46 and 50 points. That's brilliant, And so I'm not to demean them at all. However, I looked at who they've picked up points against and who they've lost out on. And I've looked at the amount of chances they're creating, and then they're going to come up against us, and we don't, we can be really tight at the back on our day, and we can really, really attack. And we already know that we can be quite dominant in central midfield. As good as their pairing are, we could be really dominant in central midfield. We got set piece routines that are an absolute nightmare. That's over the past 2 seasons now. We're the best at set pieces in the Premier League, and
we've got better at them in the last 2 weeks as well.
Appears so, doesn't it? And with Antonio there, unbelievably, even given his age, he keeps getting better. And even last time, we've played Wolves a couple of times, even without Antonio getting better, he was too much for Cody. And even Bolly, I don't think Bolly's been playing for him recently. Bolly was the one with the physical attributes to deal with Antonio, and if he's not in there, it's going to be really, really, really difficult, I think. And so you have to be confident, really.
Yeah, I'm very confident as well for similar reasons to yourself. Antonio bullied Connor Cody last season on both occasions. Kilman and Saiss either side of him. I'm all right with that as well. Saiss he's got the physique for Antonio, but he's not got the pace. I'd say the same about Connor Cody. Kilman's a bit more of an all-rounder, but I'm still confident Antonio will have a better field day given the half a chance against this Wolves defence. But I think the key thing is Antonio hadn't scored for a few weeks going into an international break. He's gone away, got 2 goals. One of them was it was a thunder strike. The other one was a really good individual goal with his dribbling and his finishing as well. So he'll come back extremely confident. And then, on social media in the last 24 hours or something, there's been a lot made of the private jet thing, almost like David Sullivan is sort of bragging that he can spend $100,000 on a private jet to fly Antonio back, so on and so forth. Personally, I don't see it like that, because the only way we know about it is because Antonio himself told us. It was Mikel Antonio that said, I've got a private jet. Sullivan's put on a private jet for me. So I'm back in London already, happy days. And what I seen there was almost like a token of appreciation from Antonio, saying, hang about, the club I've gone to Jamaica. The club has sent a doctor over with me, a club physio or whatever his title is. What's been in reports as club doctor, so I'll stick with that. So they've sent someone over with Antonio to look after him, and then they've put him on a private jet and got him back. He must feel on cloud 9 right now. It's been a really successful international break for him, scoring 2 goals in 3 games for his country now. And the club are sort of wrapping him up in cotton wool. The man must feel the most important bugger in the world at West Ham, and that's going to be dangerous for Wolves. You look a bit confused.
Well, I don't understand the argument. That's preposterous, actually. I've got to say.
I think there's 2.
You want to hear a day later flying economy class, a day less to recover before a West Ham game.
I think it's more. I think people are saying you shouldn't credit the club for doing this, because the only reason they're doing this is because there's only one striker at the club. So it's almost like the horse is bolted kind of thing.
A lot of people telling people what to say and what not to say at the moment. I've got to be honest. If he wants to say, do you know what? I couldn't care less if he wants to take a picture of his nice freebie slippers that he got in a private jet, saying, "Hey, Mickey's having a great time here." Well, he's kicking back. I'd
like to think we'd do it even if we had another striker at the club, because that's our first choice striker. Getting back ASAP, as far as I'm concerned. I think the other element is that also a lot of West Ham fans are missed out a lot financially in the last 2 or 3 days, because the club's decision is to not appeal the UEFA thing. So a lot of the fans are out of pocket, vary between a couple of hundred. And we know someone that's lost out on 900 quid because they were going for a 5-day holiday in Vienna with one of his family members, and he was looking forward to it. So now it's sort of like, now what do we do? Do we go for 5 days with no football or what? So there's a lot of people that's missed out on money. So I think a lot of people are looking at it, that while fans have just been hit big time, because of a decision that the club's made, Sullivan's waving the cash around, kind of thing. And I think I don't know.
That's always there, Geo. People lose their jobs, and there's a Premier League footballers driving around in Ferraris. That argument is always there.
The way I see it, though, there's no correlation between the two. There's no correlation between people missing out on the flight money and the hotel money, and then West Ham paying to get Antonio back ASAP. It's not. If we didn't get the private jet, it's not it would get refunded by the club. It's not one or the other. The club could still do both if they want to. They could do neither. There's no correlation between the two events and incidents. So I think it's a good thing by the club, actually, because it's important that we came into this season with just one striker. While I don't agree with that, I've made it very clear I don't agree with just having Antonio.
Of course.
But bloody make sure you look after him. And private jet, sending a doctor over. And Antonio's spoken about how he's changed his lifestyle recently, he eats differently and stuff. And he's not been injured this season. So it's working. What the club are doing this season so far isn't, we're mid-November. And Antonio's
I'm sure the big clubs would do that stuff as well. That the big clubs would do that, would wrap their cut them all.
Liverpool and Man U bunk up for a private jet for the Brazilians. So, like, Alisson will get on a plane with Fred, for example. So they'll send up the two Manchesters, and Liverpool will get a private jet for all three clubs.
They got a little Brazilian landing strip.
Anyway, but yes, I'm feeling confident, not just because I'm making Antonio, just because we're in damn good form. I struggle to see Wolves causing us too much problems. Like I said, when I watch them, sometimes they have looked good. But I'm also wary that they look good because the other teams looked crap. I've seen Everton look rubbish against Watford. So it's almost easy for Wolves to look good against Everton. Watford looked good against Everton. Watford haven't looked good against anyone until they played Everton. So there is an element of that too. And I just think we're better than them. I think we've got better players in pretty much every position. And while we don't do the combined 11 videos, if you were to do one, say what Wolves players would get into the West Ham team, I think you can make an argument for one or two and that'll be the end of the conversation. I think the one player that would get in is injured. Neto, he's out. He's the one player who would make a real argument for getting into West Ham's 11. I just think at the minute we've got a better manager, got better squad, better players, better form. I struggle to see why we won't get 3 points from this game. And it's important we do, and then we can move on to Rapid Vienna and get the job done and get into the last 16 Europa League. Any final words, Gonzo? And your score prediction, please.
Final words? No, not really. Same thing. We're good away from home as well. We're good everywhere really at the moment. Let's be fair. So let's do that. Let's start well. We'll do our thing. If we get kick off, launch it up to the big fella, try and head it down, get an early goal. If we could get an early goal, as we sometimes do in the first 10 minutes, then it makes for, obviously hopefully a more comfortable day. It doesn't always work out like that, as we saw very recently. I think it's going to be emphatic, though, on this one. I really do. I think it will be, it'll be Wolves 0, West Ham 3.
Oh, and for you at home, you better put a bit of money on that because Gonzo said 4-1 against Villa, and he also said 3-2 against Liverpool. So he's got the last two scores right. So I think I might just say 3-0 as well. I am speaking of I was actually going to say 2-0 West Ham. I feel good going into this one. I feel confident. Before last season, after international break, we'd come back and sometimes be a little bit iffy. We don't have that this season. We've stopped that. Any weaknesses or issues we had last season, just bear in mind we still finished 6th and qualified for Europa League, so it was still a good season, but there was still one or two things that needed ironed out. We've done it this year. Those issues, which were few and far between, have gone, and I think in the last 2-3 games we seem to have got better at set pieces. We've got Fernals taking them on the left now rather than Bowen or Creswell hitting outswingers. We've now got Fernals over there, so we've got good corners coming from both sides. There's just a lot to be good. A lot of good things at West Ham, which is bad news for Wolves. Like I said, I think they'll have an okay season. I don't think they'll get relegated. I don't think they're going to threaten top 8. I think they'll linger in that middle bit of the league. That's okay. However, Saturday, just don't see it. Wolves 0, West Ham 2 for me, Gonzo. Anyway, we will be live at 1:55 on Saturday, 1:55 with the build-up show. Hammer Chat, your one-stop shop for all you need ahead of your match day. We've got the match preview today. I did a video on Matt Jarvis as well, which will be on your screen in just a minute. We'll have the breakfast show for patrons, as well as a player ratings show for patrons around the game. We'll have the build-up show, the review, and the watch-along. Lots of content, Gonzo.
Plenty to keep you busy.
Anyway, that's been Gonzo. I've been Geo. We've been Hammer Chat. Catch you in a bit.